Blue Reflection is a brand new title from the developer Gust, a studio known for its delightful Atelier games. This unique role-playing game is a charming mix of the psychological adventures of games like Persona and the magical girls of Sailor Moon. This RPG made for a great experience, and one that I believe is not to be overlooked. What do I like about this game? Here are my game reflections for the fabulous RPG, Blue Reflection. Players of Blue Reflection take the role of Hinako, a teenage girl who recently moved into an all-girls high school in Japan. Hinako used to be a magnificent ballet dancer, but due to a leg injury, she will never be truly able to dance again. Carrying this burden with her into her new school, Hinako is suddenly thrust into a world she never could have imagined. Hinako is transported to the Common, a realm of the collective human unconscious, and it is here she is granted the powers of a reflector. Reflectors are people who can fight against the demons of the Common who prey upon the emotions of mankind. Emotions that are given a physical form, known as fragments. After her first venture into the Common, Hinako meets two sisters, Yuzu and Lime, who are also reflectors and help Hinako discover her new abilities and her ultimate purpose as a reflector. Earth is in danger of being invaded from powerful beings beyond the veil of time and space, the Sephria. The Sephria have used our planet as a battleground since the dawn of man, and certain places around the world act as beacons for these creatures, with Hinako's high school being one of them. Together with Yuzu and Lime, Hinako protects her school and the world from the threat of the Sephria. To grow stronger as a reflector, Hinako must forge bonds with her fellow students, gathering emotional fragments by helping them through an emotional crisis. Due to the school having a connection to the realm of the Common, space and time can become distorted, and students whose emotions become too unstable will cause them to go rampant, and unless the reflectors save them, their hearts will become permanently scarred. Helping out Hinako's classmates takes up a large portion of the story, with the Sephria encounters dotted all throughout the 20 to 30 hour quest. Your enjoyment of the game's story may depend on how invested you are in all of the game's various side characters, but I really liked how Hinako has to identify with their individual struggles, as not only do we learn more about Hinako's friends, but our main protagonist as well. The tale of Blue Reflection takes some unexpected and honestly heartbreaking twists and turns, and by the game's finale, I was utterly captured by the journey I took with these characters. I loved Hinako's character throughout the course of the game, as we see her go from a reluctant hero to a girl who is willing to fight for everyone, even if it means sacrificing her own happiness. Yuzu and Lime are also great characters, with the perky but well-meaning Yuzu and the surprisingly blunt but ultimately sweet Lime. These three girls take up a majority of the screen time, but that's not to say that Hinako's classmates don't have time to shine as well. Each chapter focuses on one of Hinako's friends, and by the end you are bound to have a few favorites like the aspiring journalist Ako or the sports enthusiast Kei.
あなた、魔法少女でしょ。え？それとも宇宙刑事？はたまた異世界から来たエージェントってや。なんなの突然。そういえばまだ話したことなかったっけ？私は一ノ瀬亜子、放送部なの。
The only aspect of the story I wish was explored more was the antagonists of the game, the Sephria. We learn small details about them as the game progresses, but by the end they are still very enigmatic, and I hope we will learn more about them if the game gets a sequel. Not to say that the Sephria were lackluster, as they make up some of the game's most memorable moments, but outside of the game's final boss, they aren't a very talkative bunch. Across the board, I really did thoroughly enjoy the tale of Blue Reflection. It has some great characters, and the Reflectors' quest to protect the hearts and minds of their friends made for a fascinating storyline. Blue Reflection provides an intriguing and different story from your standard RPG fare, and I love seeing the journey of Hinako and her friends. Much like how Hinako is almost a whole new person when she takes on her reflector form, the gameplay of Blue Reflection is basically divided into two parts. The first and primary gameplay style is exploring the common as the reflectors. Hinako, Yuzu, and Lime traverse the surreal landscapes of sadness, fear, and anger as they battle various types of demons, as well as collecting shards. Anyone who has played Gust's previous works know that their RPG battle systems have a more classic, turn-based style to them, and I rather enjoy the combat of Blue Reflection. When entering combat, you enter commands for all three Reflector Girls, and depending on the type of moves you perform, you may gain an advantage over your enemies on the timeline bar. Taking some influence from Grandia's battle system, the timeline allows you to knock back opponents, delaying their next turn. This is imperative in some of the game's fights, as it allows you to repeatedly attack opponents without giving them a chance to counterattack. Another unique aspect of this game's combat is the Ether system. Instead of using the attack or support abilities, the selected character will charge the team's Ether, restoring their own MP in the process. This increases the reflect gauge, which later on will allow you to use the Overdrive skill, where a single character can perform multiple abilities at once. Using Overdrive is even more essential in the game's boss fights, but more on that in a bit. Unlike a majority of RPGs where you level up your characters by gaining experience in combat, in Blue Reflection you level up your characters by strengthening the bonds with your friends. And this is where the second half of the gameplay takes center stage. In between her adventures in the common, Hinako will be able to walk around the school grounds and meet up with her classmates. By talking with her friends and going out to places with them after school, Hinako's bonds with her friends will grow. As your friendships blossom, you are rewarded with fragments which can be attached to character abilities to increase their performance. And you will also receive growth points, which is how you level up your characters. You can allot growth points to a character's attack, defense, support, or technical abilities. Once you reach a certain number for each stat, you will unlock new combat moves for each character, allowing that character to be even more versatile as the game progresses. There's actually a good deal of freedom in how you build your characters, and the fragments you receive from Hinako's friends do allow for a good deal of experimentation. Aside from building your characters, exploring the school grounds is used for the game's side missions, a majority of which have you helping out the student body by going to the common and defeating a certain amount of enemies. You can also interact with your friends through your phone's Free Space app, where the characters have some truly humorous text conversations. Also in Free Space are little mini-games like a virtual pet, Akko's articles about the Reflector's adventures, and a hide-and-seek game with a cute plushie. Last but not least are the sections where Hinako is at home. You can select several options like taking a relaxing bath or studying for tomorrow's test at school, and sometimes, depending on what you choose, you are rewarded with a permanent character upgrade. While we never actually see any adults at Hinako's school, the interactions with the classmates and moving throughout the school make Hinako's day-to-day adventures as a reflector even more interesting. I really have to take time to say how fun the game's boss fights are. As enjoyable as the rest of the game is, Blue Reflection's boss encounters are where this game truly shines. Every so often in the story, a Sephria will approach the school, and it's up to the reflectors to repel these powerful beings. Blue Reflection is actually a fairly easy game, as I never died except for one of the game's bosses, and indeed these battles are where the game provides somewhat of a challenge. These multi-stage encounters not only put the reflector skill to the test, but it also allows all the friends Hinako has made over the course of the game to assist in the fight. At certain moments in the battle, your friends will rush in and either buff and heal your party, or directly damage the boss. This added element of all your friends teaming up together to defeat the Sephria makes these battles even more engaging. Plus, in the last third of the game where the battles against the Sephria become more frequent, you gain access to the character's super moves, which are a blast to perform and can quickly topple the Sephria forces if done correctly. The boss battles are among the game's most memorable moments, and this is helped by the game's wonderful music. The melodies of Blue Reflection are a sheer delight for the ears. The beautiful piano pieces, the intense boss tracks, and the soothing yet eerie music of the common are simply great. I never got tired of hearing the theme for Hinako's school, but if I had to pick some personal favorites, I would say that I love the main theme for Blue Reflection, the music for the Valkyrie-like Sephria, and the final boss theme. The music for this game is quite brilliant, and it's right up there with Nier Automata and Horizon Zero Dawn for my favorite RPG soundtracks of this year. On the visual side of things, Blue Reflection isn't quite as impressive, but nevertheless it is still a nice looking game, and there are some moments of graphic brilliance like the game's boss battles. The frame rate can be a bit inconsistent, and character animations and cutscenes sometimes feel a bit limited. However, I would say that the excellent character designs and the imaginative visuals of the common make up for the game's other shortcomings. The game also has some very noticeable typos and grammar errors in the subtitles, which are just frequent enough to take away from the immersion in some chapters. This is mostly nitpicking though, and when the game's art style and technical performance are firing on all cylinders, Blue Reflection can be a very beautiful game. Blue Reflection is a fun and unique RPG experience, and it's my hope that this is the start of a great new series from one of my favorite developers. Even as a standalone title though, Blue Reflection is a very enjoyable game, and one that will take you on a moving and meaningful journey. If you love things like Sailor Moon, or just looking for something a little different, I would highly recommend checking it out. Hinako's adventure as a reflector is a great time, and I'm so glad I was able to experience this exciting role-playing game for myself. Most of all, I love that the game shows that our true strength lies not just within ourselves, but in the bonds we share with those we love. Thank you for watching this episode of Game Reflections. What are your thoughts on Blue Reflection? Feel free to share in the comments below. Until next time, keep having great adventures, everyone!